My best friend stole my life savings. You'll never prove it, he laughed. Then his wedding day arrived. The night Ryan transferred the last dollar of my $287,000 inheritance, he sent me a selfie. Him grinning in front of his new Porsche. Thanks for the down payment, brother. Don't worry, I'll pay you back, eventually. The police said it was a civil matter. My lawyer said proving the verbal loan would be impossible. Even my mother sighed over the phone. Maybe he just forgot? You know how Ryan is. But I knew. The same way I knew he'd been helping me track my investments for 6 months. The same way I knew he'd convinced me to link our bank accounts for emergencies. The same way I'd seen him watching me that night at the bar when I drunkenly mumbled my security answers. Ryan didn't forget. He'd been planning this since the day I inherited the money. And now? He was getting married in 3 months. To the girl I introduced him to. In the church my grandfather built. With my money paying for everything. I stared at the wedding invitation on my kitchen table. Thick cardstock. Gold foil. And one perfect detail. The RSVP deadline was tomorrow. I checked yes to the wedding with a fountain pen Ryan had given me for my birthday. The ink flowed smooth as blood. Then I waited. 3 hours later, my phone buzzed. Bro. You're actually coming. Ryan's voice oozed fake enthusiasm. Thought you'd still be pissed about, you know. I could hear champagne corks popping in the background. Water under the bridge, I said, staring at the recording app on my screen. But hey, why'd you do it? Really? He laughed. The same laugh from our frat days when he'd cheat at beer pong. Come on, man. You were gonna blow that cash on stupid shit anyway. I'm actually building something. Stephanie's dad is connecting me with investors. By next year, I'll be. Stephanie knows? I interrupted. Silence. Then a glass clinking. She understands business. Unlike you. The call ended. I saved the recording. Then I dialed a number I'd been saving for 13 years. My college roommate. The one who now worked for the IRS. Hey Mark, I said. Remember that offshore account Ryan bragged about sophomore year? Mark's contact at the IRS moved faster than I expected. By the time Ryan's wedding invitations were mailed, a certified letter arrived at his doorstep. Notice of federal tax lien, $2,812,477.33. I knew because Stephanie called me in tears. Did you know about this? Her voice cracked. Ryan swore it was a mistake. But they froze everything, the venue deposit, the catering, even my dress payment. I made sympathetic noises while watching Ryan's frantic texts flood my phone. Dude, WTF did you do? Call me right now. Steph's dad is losing it. I waited until 3 a.m. to respond. Remember sophomore year? When you bragged about that Cayman account. Funny thing about statute of limitations. His reply was instant. You're dead. I smiled and forwarded the threat to my new lawyer. Then I opened another file. The one with photos of Ryan's bachelor party in Vegas. Where he'd used my stolen money to buy a round of drinks for the entire club. Where the receipts clearly showed his signature. And where the timestamp proved it happened the same day he told Stephanie he was visiting his sick grandma. Stephanie's father invited me to his country club. The oak-paneled walls smelled of whiskey and old money as he slid an envelope across the table. Inside, photos of Ryan with 3 different women in Vegas, each timestamped during his grandma visit. My daughter received an anonymous email this morning, he said, swirling his scotch. Curious thing, the IP address traces back to your old fraternity house. I sipped my water. Must be someone who remembers Ryan's habits. Like how he always used the same password for everything. His eyes narrowed. What password? Golden Boy 87. The glass froze halfway to his lips. Because that was the password to Ryan's investment portal. The one Stephanie's father had given him access to. The one now emptied of $1.4 million. You didn't, he whispered. I stood to leave. Check your spam folder. I hear the IRS sends notices there sometimes. Ryan showed up at my apartment at 2 a.m., pounding on the door like a madman. His tuxedo was wrinkled, his eyes bloodshot. They canceled the wedding, he screamed, shoving past me. Steph's dad is suing me. The IRS is crawling up my ass. And now my own fucking investors are pulling out. I let him rant, watching as he paced my living room, his designer shoes leaving muddy prints on the rug. You think this is funny? He snapped when he caught my expression. I walked to my desk and opened my laptop. Actually, yeah. The screen showed a live feed of Ryan's downtown office. Movers were hauling out furniture. Lawyers were boxing up files. And in the corner, two men in suits stood over his empty safe. Recognize them? I asked. FBI forensic accountants. Turns out wire fraud has a 10-year statute of limitations. Ryan's face went pale. You wouldn't. I leaned back in my chair. I already did. The FBI raid made the evening news. Footage showed Ryan in handcuffs, his tailored suit jacket draped over his head as reporters shouted questions. The cheerin read, "Local entrepreneur arrested in $3 million fraud scheme." Stephanie's father gave a press conference, calling Ryan a sociopathic con artist who had preyed on our family's trust. My phone exploded with messages from old friends. Holy shit, did you see the news? Ryan always seemed sketchy. You okay, man? I didn't respond. Instead, I drove to Ryan's now empty penthouse, the one he'd bought with my money. The doorman recognized me and let me up without question. The place was stripped bare except for one thing, the framed photo of us from college days, still hanging in the hallway. I took it down, slid out the picture, and revealed what was taped behind it. A single USB drive, containing every incriminating transaction, every forged signature, every lie Ryan had ever told. Just where I knew he'd hide it. The USB drive contained more than I expected. Not just records of my stolen inheritance, but documents showing Ryan had done this before, to his own uncle, to a former business partner, even to our old fraternity treasurer. All the same pattern. Gain trust. Help manage finances. Drain accounts slowly. Disappear. But the real gem? A folder labeled Stephanie. Inside, a fake prenup drafts favoring Ryan. A secret recordings of her father discussing insider trading. A plans to accidentally get her pregnant for inheritance control. I made 3 copies. One for the FBI. One for Stephanie's father. And one for the local news station that had been hounding me for comment. Then I waited for the dominoes to fall. They didn't just fall. They exploded. Ryan's mugshot went viral within hours. News outlets ran side-by-side photos. The grinning Porsche selfie he'd sent me, and his hollow-eyed booking photo with the caption "Alleged conman faces 25 years." Stephanie's father returned my inheritance with interest, $387,000 wired overnight. The accompanying note read simply, "We were both fools." But the sweetest justice came at 3:17 a.m. A call from county jail. "You win," Ryan rasped, his voice raw. "Just tell me one thing. How long were you planning this?" I watched dawn break over the city skyline. "Since the day you stole from me," I said. "But the beautiful part? You did all the work for me." The USB drive had been in his penthouse the whole time. I'd never planted it. I'd just known exactly where he'd hide his trophies. The courtroom smelled like lemon polish and regret. Ryan shuffled in wearing an ill-fitting suit, his cocky grin replaced by a permanent twitch. His lawyer kept whispering to the prosecutor while shooting glances at me. When the judge read the sentence, 27 months per count, to be served consecutively, Ryan finally looked at me. Not with anger. With something worse. Understanding. He mouthed one word, "How?" I slipped the bailiff a manila envelope. Inside, a screenshot of Ryan's Venmo history showing $15,000 in payments to Stephanie's wedding planner. Security footage of him shredding documents the night before his arrest. And the piece de resistance, a notarized affidavit from his uncle about the first time he'd stolen an inheritance. The judge added 12 more months for evidence tampering. As they led Ryan away, his mother approached me in tears. "How could you do this to family?" I handed her a thumb drive. "Ask your brother." The prison letters arrived every week for 6 months. Ryan's handwriting grew shakier with each one, pleading, bargaining, then finally threatening. I stored them unopened in a safety deposit box next to the USB drive that ruined him. Yesterday, A new envelope came. Not from Ryan. From Stephanie. A single sheet of paper. Asterisk, I found the receipts. The Rolex. The Cabo trips. All the lies. But you knew I would eventually, didn't you? That's why you left the paper trail. Not for revenge. For me. P.S. The DA wants to know if you'll testify at his parole hearing next year. Asterisk. I burned the letter in my fireplace. The ashes swirled like confetti. Like wedding rice. Like the last fragments of a friendship I'd buried long before the theft. Some debts get repaid in unexpected ways.